Welcome everyone, my name is Diablo. I am one of the co-developers of Tales of Evera, Bulbous Studio. So I thought I'd just make this video as an introduction to kind of what we're doing, what we want to do, and a little bit of an idea of who we are and what we're aiming for the future. So I know that the Kickstarter might have been completely random because we were literally asking for plenty of money. To be fair, even though we are an indie studio, like nobody knows who we are, and I do fully understand the confusion and the suspicion in these days because obviously anyone can ask for anything, so you know it's not that difficult to try and make a fool of someone. But after consideration, I've decided together with the other co-developer Cage to kind of like have a completely different approach and slow down massively in terms of funding, in terms of concentrating on actually getting what we need first and building from the ground up. So I've decided to make this video in order to kind of like do that and present myself and the team. So as for the team, as I mentioned, I am the co-developer, so there's only two of us working on this project. We decided ages ago that we wanted to do an RPG our way, we wanted to do the way we wanted to do, and we kind of like got together and started working on it, and we've been actually working on the game itself for quite a while, to be fair. This is due obviously time limitations and funding limitations and availability of the right instruments at the right time. Essentially, we've been working on this for a long time, and we've been changing ideas many times. We've been changing engines many times. Funnily enough, we wanted to start in Godot, but we decided to just switch to Unreal Engine because obviously Unreal Engine is Unreal Engine, and we've been on it for, I would say, more than a year now, going back and forward with ideas and decisions and what we want to do, how we want to do it, starting from writing the story, which in the case of this game is not really focused on the story itself, because I'll tell you later what the game is about and what's the gameplay itself. But what we decided to do, obviously, was to focus on the little things first and then go straight into trying to work on the game itself, which I said before, there have been many changes of ideas and we've changed direction many times, but we are finally on the right path of what we want to do, and due to some unexpected changes, we had to delay unexpected changes such as people going away and, you know, the engine failing us and many different things, but that's besides the point. So the idea of it is to work obviously as an indie studio, and the main challenges that we have as an indie studio is obviously the manpower and the funding, what we can do in our time. So this is what we're focusing on. We're focusing on investing all of our time into the project because it's something that we really want to do, it's something that we really want to put out. But obviously, let's start from the ground up, as I said before. So the game itself is an RPG, but is not a normal RPG, it's a roguelike RPG. What do I mean by that? Essentially, you go inside of the map, you farm the missions and quests inside of the map. You could call them events or like quick quests or fast quests, whatever you want to call them. Inside of the map, the gameplay is very similar to average RPG. So let's take Dark Souls, for example. We're both big fans of the Dark Souls series and the Elden Ring series. So what we are trying to do, we know we like the way that game, the fighting is made. So we are trying to aim to a very relatively simple combat system, which obviously not as simple as there with some combinations and stuff, but this is like very in-depth information, so it might change at any moment in time. But the whole idea again is to have a relatively simple fighting system that will take into consideration different types of fighting, sword fighting, magic, bows and arrows, you know, the whole shebang, pretty much like your average standard RPG mechanics, but in a roguelike. So as I said, inside the maps, farm, exit the map, do bosses. It's literally very similar to Final Fantasy Origin in terms of like the actual gameplay itself, but we want to do it a little bit more grounded instead of doing something like this. But I'm just giving you examples of the ideas that we have and how to put it all together. So it's not that I'm saying we're gonna copy it straight away. We're gonna do, oh yes, we're gonna take from there, we're gonna put it in. No, we're not gonna do nothing like this. We are taking inspiration from different games like many developers do because we like the gameplay of those games, simple as. So again, that's the main idea we're going behind. So roguelike RPG, the things you can actually expect from gameplay itself, as I said, just to say a couple of them from the top of my head, you obviously have your crafting mechanic, you have your magic fighting and your magic crafting, you have dungeons, obviously dungeon crawling, and actual instances, like you are on a map and you go inside an instance on that map. So it's not like the map itself is just straightforward. There'll be a possibility, obviously, of getting in different places, exploring different areas of the map, because the maps will be quite big. It won't be massive. Obviously, we're not speaking Skyrim level maps. So we're speaking about maps that are relatively big, that you can go wherever you want. And obviously, each area will have an elite, stronger enemies, weak enemies, you know, it's a variety of things that we decide to put in. So that's why I said this is the roguelike that we'll get in, because every time we go in, there'll be changes around the map and the mobs and the bots. That's the main idea of it. So what you do essentially, go into map, power up until you get strong enough to be able to defeat all the bosses, and you can go back, upgrade. Again, it's a roguelike, so it's essentially never ending, or you can decide what your ending. It's not meant to end the way we want it to end. It's just you decide as a player what you want to do and how you want to end it. So since it's roguelike, so you have the main hub where you have all your stuff, your shop, your mini quests, go around and buy your equipment, upgrade your character. You might have some funny events happening, you know, a base for the player, and then from that base the player goes forward and fights for the adventure. Very similar dungeon crawler. I would call it dungeon fighter, like in Final Fantasy Origin, because Final Fantasy Origin, you have your hub, which is the map, select the mission. In the hub itself, you change stuff, you equip, blah, blah, blah. But we want to do it actually hands-on. We don't just want to slap a map and then just do this. We actually want the player to be able to roam around the city, the area where he can run, so he can explore a little bit, and it's a bit more rounded. It's not like do it and nobody cares. So it's not. So you will go into the instances, meaning that you will go inside of a specific area and you will have a specific quest that will end the map scroll essentially. So that's the main mechanic we're working on. Obviously, things can change, we can adapt, we can change this idea, we can do it so it's a gauntlet system. Everything can change. So at the moment, I wouldn't say it's in pre-production, but very early stage production. So anything can change essentially, and obviously it can change based when we release, I said eventually pre-alpha or the alpha, then things can change again, you know, based on how the game is received by people. Again, there'll also be like elites on the maps, and there will be some tasks to do, like, you know, little quests and stuff. That way you'll be rewarded for the completion of them. You'll be able to again level up, you know, get more goals or whatever. It's a relatively simple concept. It's just made our way and it's our twist. If we speak about the targets we have, so with current challenges and what we plan to do is essentially we have a system. Again, everything is bound to change. It's a disclaimer, so I can tell you now one thing and then 6 months down the line it can change, because everything can change. So we have the obviously pre-alpha content, so this is the way it will be scheduled essentially, ideally. So you have the pre-alpha content, which means the early gameplays, the early implementations of gameplays and presentation. Then you have the alpha, which the alpha essentially will be a chunk of the game that will be playable for people to try out and see if they like it. The beta, and then the early access. So the reason why we're doing beta and early access is because we want to have a bridge between the actual release and the work in progress. By early access, it doesn't mean that the game will stay in early access for 10 million years like some titles. The early access is essentially for us to be able to show out what we're doing, get traction, get accepted into the video game world essentially, and then when we are ready, when we decide that everything is done and dusted, then we will proceed to the release. So this is the way we want to do it, because it's the simplest way to do it, and we actually have a target in front of us and we just don't stray in the darkness because we don't know what we're doing. This is essentially what the plan is for the future. So currently we are in pre-alpha, in pre-alpha content, so we don't have a playable pre-alpha because again of the challenges that we're facing currently, which is manpower, work time, etc. What I'm trying to say is not that we're trying to milk it and say, oh, we don't have time to do it. No, like essentially this is literally we're pouring everything we can in this project whenever we can. So there is progress made, even if it's small. There's periods when there's small progress and massive progress. So to give you an example, there's work's been made on the 3D side, there's work's been made on the VSFX, there's work being made on the animation side, there's work on everything. So obviously since there's only two of us, we have to take bits and bobs and work through them, and then as soon as we finish as soon as we get to a certain point, we then can jump to the next thing. So this is the mentality that essentially we have right now. So we are trying to do bits and bobs, get it working, and then focus on actually producing what we want to produce. So the next plan, obviously, we haven't decided. Well, it's very early to decide right now what to do after the release, because we didn't release the game yet, so you can't really make a decision so far ahead. So this is where the Kickstarter subject comes up, because we fully understand that the Kickstarter went the way it went, and we're not blaming anyone for it. If anything, we expected it, kind of expected it. But what we're trying to do, if we get the actual financial support that we want to have, we plan on focusing on the game fully, like commit to it 9 to 5, every single day, because it's something that we really enjoy doing. That it's something that helped us develop our skills from 3D to programming, etc. And it's something that we really care for. We really want to put out to fruition, and we want to show the world what we've done. So it's something that we really, it's like a small like a dev dream, especially now where there's a lot of indie studios that are literally annihilating the market when it comes to games. Take Megabon, for example, take Schedule 1, for example. There's plenty other games that have recently come out that have actually exploded the world of the video games. So there's different types of games and we are trying to ride the wave, and we are trying to come out with something ours. So that way, obviously, we will do something that we always wanted to do. And in order to do that also, we have to grow our community. Well, we are trying to grow a community. We got 2 or 3 people that have joined directly from the Kickstarter, which is fantastic, if you ask, because it's already a start. And what we're also trying to do now, more than before, because it's, again, based on what we currently need, we have to move around and kind of like fit in different places. So, well, essentially, the plan for growing the community is, again, posting via Discord and doing more YouTube content, because since we've posted that video, that Kickstarter video, obviously there's been like radio silence on the channel. But things will change eventually. It's just as simply, again, we need to come up with some content, and we need to come up with something that we can do to at least show people or get out there in the world. Yeah, so we don't run around empty-handed and then go on hopes and if buts and maybes, if you know what I mean. And obviously the support of our Twitter. So what I'll do, I'll be posting these links in the description under this video. It will be amazing if you could subscribe to us, obviously. Follow us on Twitter if you use Twitter. If you don't use Twitter, you can always join us on our Discord, which is open to anyone that wants to talk with us, wants to communicate, wants to just have a chat, overall. Obviously, feel free to comment on YouTube if you have any suggestions or if you want to talk to us, because I am personally very straightforward, so I'm going to say what I think in regards of what we're doing. And again, we're trying to grow a community as a small indie team, as a very tiny indie team, and we cannot do it without your help, without the help of the great internet, and YouTube and all platforms, to speak. So I said what I needed to say. Hopefully I didn't bore people too much, but this is the current situation, so at least people know what's going on. Hopefully we will see each other in more videos in the future, and hopefully we will, next time that we release a major update on the project itself, we'll be able to actually showcase some gameplay, possibly. You never know. So yeah, again, this is Diablo for you. I shall see you in the next video.